Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for tonight, Thursday, July the 17th, 2014. I saw last week, but I had it on DVR, because last week was the last week in Philly. And that means tonight we're in New York City. The first of many tapings are going to air from New York City. And you know what else this means? As you see by the subtitle. It's back. Yes, the six-sided ring is back after the fan poll, and it's back permanently. It's not for a one-night stand, not even a two-night stand or a three-week stand. It's back permanently because the fans voted probably the smartest thing TNA's done in a long fucking time. And I think because of the six-sided ring returning tonight, and also because we're in New York City and there's a rowdy crowd tonight at the Manhattan Center, I think it's probably one of the best impacts in a while. You know, actually wasn't that bad of an impact tonight. Some great action. And like I said, I think it all is a combination of the fact we're in New York with a great crowd tonight. And like I said, Six Sides is back. And we would kick off with one of New York's own Taz celebrating the fact that Six Sides is back and they're in New York City. Same with Kurt Angle. He kicked it off before Taz did. Kind of ironic because both them wrestled in New York City at MSG for Taz's debut in WWE back in Royal Rumble 2000. But then we have two other fellow kind of New Yorkians with Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer coming out. Now, of course, we've seen Tommy Dreamer get involved promoting his little company. Or should I say, well, it is little, it's an indie company, House of Hardcore. We saw what happened with him trying to talk to Dixie Carter with a low blow from Dixie. And now Tommy Dreamer's getting involved. He was involved in an attack a couple weeks ago. And now he is teaming up with Bully Ray tonight as they called out, getting ready to finally get their hands on Dixie Carter's phonies before finally getting that table all readied up and trying to get Dixie to finally get through that table. I'll talk about that in a moment. But then we bring out Dixie's phonies. Wino, who's now lined us up because we saw him spear the hell out of Bully Ray a few weeks ago, which I was stunned that Wino would team up with Dixie Carter now. And then that's when Tommy Dreamer got involved last week's Impact. Like I missed it, but I missed it live. I saw it on DVR. Then Tommy Dreamer got involved. And that's what brings us to tonight in our very first matchup with Wino bringing out his new friend, EC3. And the crowd was really hyped up during that lot of ECW chants during this promo. Especially this was the building, the Manhattan Center, where Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray, among others, would make their debut in ECW Invaded War at the Manhattan Center back in March of '97. So it's kind of cool to mention that. And that will lead to our first matchup. Like I said, Rhino and EC3 against Bully Ray and Dreamer. And it was a brawl from the get-go as they just brawled and the match started after the first break. And Bully and Tommy looked really good in the first half of the matchup. Great double team moves, great extreme action for these great guys with a lot of ECW chants. I wish there was more extremeness to it. But it was a fun little tag team matchup with, of course, the advantage going later on to the team of Wino and EC3, specifically the strength and the power of the man beast from Detroit, Michigan, known as Wino. Nice to see him back in wrestling. Even though he's a heel and aligning himself with Dixie Carter, it's kind of weird that he would say that Bully hogs the spotlight and all that. I know it's storyline and all, but hey, you gotta make a buck. And then, after the advantage from Wino and EC3, we would see Bully and Tommy get the advantage yet again. Some great moves with Tommy Dreamer delivering a Dreamer driver. With Bully being distracted, here comes Rockstar Spud out there. And both Bully and Tommy Dreamer got distracted by Rockstar Spud's involvement. And unfortunately, that distraction would eventually cost Dreamer and Bully the match. After the Dreamer driver on EC3, with Wino and Bully fighting off to the outside, Tommy wanted to get his hands on Rockstar Spud as he was on the apron. But as he was about to get his hands on Rockstar on the apron, EC3, with that distraction, took advantage, rolled up Dreamer, 1, 2, 3, victory for EC3 and Wino with a little help for Rockstar Spud. So, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, with that little scenario. And although we see EC3 and Rhino winning the battle tonight, I think they're not going to win the war. as we would see later on in the evening, as Dixie Carter was to be seen in the Manhattan Center at the end of the evening. But before we get to that, let's get on down to more action. Last week, we saw Austin Aries regain the X Division Championship in a great match last week against Sonata. Probably one of the best TNA matches I've seen in a long time. It was great action, packed match, and the crowd was into it in Philly. But I knew there'll be a better crowd tonight in New York as Austin Aries, as he's on his way to Destination X to try to cash in on Plan C once again to cash in the X Division Championship for a World title shot like he did 2 years ago. But he had one little pit stop, and that is a gauntlet match tonight. Of course, we know how the TNA gauntlet goes. Two guys would start. It's kind of like a Battle Royal Rumble type match, but they call it a gauntlet. Two guys start, and then after all the guys have entered and have all been eliminated, the final two would fight in a regular matchup. It was Austin Aries kicking off against Eddie from the Wolves. Then we would see the third guy was Manic. We would also see after that Davey, the other Wolf. Then we would see DJ Z. And then Tigre Uno, Crazy Steve. Why was he in this match? And the final man, Sonata. Makes kind of sense. The first entrant being the current X Division champion. The eighth and final in this gauntlet was the former champ. And the best thing about the six-sided ring coming back is going to really enhance the X Division again. That was so great about the six-sided ring. It made TNA, two reasons why the six-sided ring was great. It made TNA different. It made them separate themselves from the rest. I'm going to brought it back for that reason. And the second reason why I'm happy that the X Division, or specifically the six-sided ring, is back, it enhances the X Division. And this match proves why we are so thrilled the X Division gets to once again wrestle in the six-sided ring. Very great battle royal. Typical battle royal, but still. Fun moves. Especially with the Wolves being in there, even though it was a made for himself. Great double team moves. There was like a fury of great moves from the double team for the Wolves, and also a great move from Manic. A little dropkick move. So it was like, this is going to benefit them really well. That's why I'm so happy they brought back the six-sided ring. It's going to really benefit the X Division guys more than any other division in the entire company. It's going to really help out and enhance this X Division. And they really need it. There's some great guys out there that can really do well with it. And they showed well tonight, especially when we got down to the final two. And Andrew Crazy Steve eliminated somebody. It's kind of weird to see Crazy Steve eliminate people. And then the Wolves got eliminated by Sonata. Sonata was on fire because Sonata wanted to be in that final two to get another shot to regain his title. And he would do so. He would be in that final two with Austin Aries. So we got ourselves a kind of a rematch from last week when they got down to the final two, because the final two in this gauntlet would fight in a one-on-one match. Both guys did toss each other over the top rope. But, of course, this being a one-on-one match now that the Battle Royal part of this is over, no one got eliminated. But, once again, like last week, great action for both these guys. Great action for both these guys. Once again, like I said, not as long as the match last week, because it was a gauntlet, but still. Great back-and-forth action, near bombs, and great crowd reaction. There was just some great moments during this final half, and both guys just delivered some epic moves, some great drop kick moves, and great flying moves. You know what I mean? So, there was some great, even Sonata trying to go for this Tiger Suplex. He did try for a flying move a few times. I think he tried to go for like a big splash both times, like 2 times, and then failed miserably. And Aries came flying back with his big moves. He did go for the last chance, his big submission, but of course later on as Sonata missed the second attempt at the big fly move, and that's when Aries started cooking a lot more. Nailed with the big super flying back fists, and then a big nasty drop kick in the corner, big nasty kicks, setting up for the Brain Buster, and the 1, 2, 3. Austin Aries retains the X Division Championship, being put through the gauntlet, winning the gauntlet, and beating everybody. Especially Sonata, again, another great matchup from these two guys. It'll be official next week. That officially next week, Austin Aries will make his official decision on whether or not he will cash in on Plan C. And will cash it in on the World Championship or not. Of course, we would see who would be the World Champion as we get ready for a main event. But first things first, we have another tag team match. well, semi-tag, semi-handicap match. As Bobby Roode and Eric Young, kind of a Team Canada reunion, would team up against a common enemy that they've made in the last couple of weeks. At least there's been a common bond between these two guys. The common enemy being MVP and his clique. We've seen MVP attacking everybody. A couple weeks ago, Bobby Lashley's friend, Kenny King, would take on Bobby Roode in a street fight, with Roode getting the victory, but he wasn't really satisfied. Because Roode, be-all and all, he wants his hands on MVP. Once again, selling, fake selling or not, the torn meniscus. And he's like, ain't gonna make me wrestle this matchup despite my injury, so I'm wrestling in protest. And anytime MVP tried to get in this matchup, he weaseled out of it. Basically, he wanted to attack a guy while he's down. Once again, selling the meniscus injury. But every time a guy was at full strength, he posted out of it. And like these shenanigans happened throughout the match. And the match was, despite these shenanigans from MVP, like I said, it was basically a handicap match with Kenny King being the healthy one and all. Getting all the brunt of the damage being done by both Bobby Roode, should I say, and EY. Really teaming up well together. Let's see you guys team up again in the matchup here. And then we would see MVP did get involved. You know, a little bit when the guys are down, that's when MVP would come in with the cheap shots in. But as Roode and EY were dominating yet again, with the big powerful moves, including, at least Bobby Roode did get his hands on MVP a little bit by getting the cross face on MVP at one point. But then Kenny King would come in to break the hold, and EY would come in. And then MVP didn't want to wrestle a lot, so that's why he decided to get himself disqualified by taking one of his crutches and nailing Bobby Roode with it a few times, causing a DQ, with Kenny King grabbing the other crutches, just beating the crap out of EY and Bobby Roode with these crutches. I thought someone was going to help him. But they got the beatdown. It was an okay little tag match despite the ending. It was a fun tag match between these two guys. But of course, the ending kind of spoiled it, but still. MVP won the battle tonight with the crutches and the DQ. But I don't think they're going to win the war because Angle got sick. He's, of course, MVP was the former wrestling operations director, and now Angle is. And now, with Angle now being the babyface operator guy, not being signing with heels, or in MVP's case, signing with his own team. Of course, Angle's like, the games are done, MVP. I'm sick of your games and sick of this bullshit DQ, injury bullshit. Next week, Bobby Roode will finally get his hands on you in a no-holds-barred match next week. Falls Count Anywhere next week. So we'll see how MVP weasels his way out of this one. And when his two cronies may get involved. Well, it's no-holds-barred. That means no DQ. That means possibility of Bobby Lashley and Kenny King getting involved. But then there was going to be Bobby Roode's backup, Mr. Bobby Roode's friend, EY. Now on to our next matchup here. Knockouts action. No DQ, no countout. Speaking of matches with no DQ, no countout, we had Brittany. Of course, the new evil Brittany we saw 2 weeks ago. She returned heel on Madison. We've seen this build up for the last few weeks with Brittany having a different attitude and turning heel on Madison 2 weeks ago. They were in a fatal 4-way for the the Knockouts title last week with Gail, Kiwi, Tanny. And it was, of course, them two, Madison and Brittany. Of course, they can't get their hands off each other. They're battling each other throughout the match. Kind of distracted from trying to get the title back, in Madison's case, against the other two competitors in that fatal 4-way, Angelina and Gail. But tonight, Brittany and Madison would settle their issues in this no DQ matchup. Now, I wish they used more weapons, though, but hey, they're knockouts. And the crowd was chanting some nasty things. I thought I heard slut chants. But anyway, I just wish they said, you can't wrestle the crazy crowd tonight. Especially, I love when they chanted, you can't wrestle the EC3. And I love in the beginning, I should have mentioned in the beginning segment, the EC3, every time the crowd said, you can't wrestle, I love the way EC3 did retaliate with the fans. You can't wrestle, I am good. I love the way that EC3 kind of fed off the fans. That's why I've said that this Impact's one of the best ones in a while. I think the fans made the wrestlers do better because the crowd was so amped up tonight and a lot of chant heavy. That's why I think the crowd brought the best out of the Impact guys. That's why I've been saying that this Impact's one of the best ones in a while. And I'm looking forward to all of the upcoming Impacts in New York. And this is an indication all the rest of the impacts from New York's will be awesome, especially with Destination X coming up. But back to tonight, Brittany and Madison. I wish there was more weapons used, but still, there was at least they fought on the outside. Great brawling and great wrestling. That's what I've been saying for months now. But of course, I'm being a broken record here about comparing the knockouts to the divas. This is what separates the knockouts from divas. This knockouts match was basically the length of 3 divas matches put together. Because every divas match is 2 minutes, typically, unless it's like against unless it's with good people, like Paige and Naomi and Adrian. Those are the only 3 good people in WWE besides Natalya and Charlotte from NXT. So anyway, great boy. I think I like Brittany as a heel. Brittany is a bubbly, naive babyface, wasn't selling well. I think she being a heel is going to do well. And she really got a lot of heat tonight. She really looked good tonight. Some great killer moves from Brittany. And I think she's got a killer edge now that she's heel. I think there was one big move, a suplex off on the floor. I think both girls felt the brunt of it. It was a hard impact. That suplex nailed by Madison. Both girls felt it. But despite that nasty suplex, they didn't show any effects from it because they came back falling later on. And a great showing with Madison getting the victory with her own little nasty finisher. The Cradle DDT move and a 1-2-3 victory for Madison. I think this is the end of the feud, with Madison getting the victory, at least pushing Brittany off to the side. Getting this monkey off a bat that is, Brittany's been like, she played a naive type until Brittany turned on Madison a few weeks ago. So it's kind of great to see Madison get the victory. Great decent knockouts matchup and a great fight between these 2 women. And then they wrestled tonight. It was great being an ODQ match, too. So, at least they fall on the floor. That was kind of cool to make up for the lack of weapons. So, now, on with our main event for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Bobby Lashley taking on Jeff Hardy. Of course, last week we saw Jeff Hardy bringing back himself. He, of course, was told by Kurt Angle. And he was still Willow at the beginning of last week. And Kurt Angle was like, the Hardy, come back as yourself. Leave Willow away for a while. He can come back, but I need Jeff Hardy. Basically, I think Jeff Hardy was singing a song to Kurt Angle. He was probably singing to Kurt Angle. Wait. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Thank you for letting me be myself again. That's the song I think Jeff Hardy was singing to Kurt Angle. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Sly and the Family Stone and you don't know it. Anyway, with Jeff Hardy beating himself again, he won a Battle Royal last week to be the new #1 contender. Now, it was a battle of the strength and the brute force of Lashley and the fast speed of Hardy. This was a great matchup between these 2 guys. I was like, oh god, we're going to see the cronies, MVP and Kenny King get involved. I'm happy that we had a clean ending. Yeah, finally a TNA match with no shitty, screwy endings. The match ended clean. And it was actually not that bad of a match. Bobby Lashley, I've been giving a lot of crap, but he looked really good in this matchup. Both guys looked really well. And there was some great moves off the outside. There was a killer, probably one of my best spots involving the steel steps on the outside with Lashley nailing Hardy into it. And it was just a back and forth matchup. Hardy kept coming at Lashley. And every time Hardy came at Lashley with his speed, of course, Lashley came in an answer. The brute power strength of Bobby Lashley. But then Hardy would get the upper edge with nailing the big-time moves, the big whisper to win. And, of course, he nailed the Swanton at least once off the top of the canvas, and Lashley kicked out of it. But then the steps got involved again. Of course, Lashley nailed Hardy to the steps nasty one time, but then this was kind of the ending of the matchup. After back and forth action, it came down to Hardy beating up Lashley on the outside and putting him on top of the steel steps. And I was like, seeing Hardy climb the top again, I was like, there went Hardy. So Hardy was off the top. I was like, what's he going to do? Hardy attempted a swanton bomb to land on top of Lashley on the steel steps. But unfortunately for Hardy, he crashed and burned as Lashley got in the ring. And Hardy slammed onto those steel steps, with Lashley avoiding the swanton on the steps. So Hardy damaged pretty bad from that crash and burn off the swanton off the top, landing on the steps. Lashley took advantage of Hardy's crashing burn, really back in the ring, and look at Lashley's face as he was setting up for the spear after Hardy got up from the crash and burn. God, that face was just intense, and with the intensity of a boy. Olay! Bang! Wham! The spear on Hardy. 1, 2, 3. Lashley retains the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I was very happy there was no interference. I was fearing that we were going to see MVP and King get involved, but I was happy that Lashley got the victory without any outside interference. So happy he won cleanly. And he looked really good tonight. He looked really good. I think Lashley's going to do well as champ. I think I've kind of turned the leaf with Lashley. Because Lashley, to me, he's like a part-timer to me in TNA, like other people on WWE, like Batista and others. Brock Lesnar, he may come back soon. Who is come back soon. Anyway, it was probably the best match Lashley has had as champion. I know Lashley took on EY 2 weeks ago, and it was an interesting match. It was an okay matchup between those two guys. But tonight, Lashley and Hardy look really good. Because these guys were WWE guys. And I've never seen these two wrestle in WWE together. So it's kind of cool to see them in this matchup. Really great matchup for both these guys. They still got it. You know, they're old guys, you know, the veterans. And to see these guys put on a great matchup with no shitty, screwy ending. Great to see that. A great matchup for both these guys. That's what I'm saying. It's been the best Impact and some great matches tonight. It's because of the six-sided ring, which benefits Hardy as well. And also, and Hardy's been in the six-sided ring because TNA still had the six-sided ring when he was in TNA back in 2004 and 5 and 6 before he left to go back to WWE for the second time. And I think the six-sided ring was about to transition back to the fourth side. It's been 4 years since we've had a six-sided ring permanently. Because we've had a six-sided ring come back for one-time appearances. But it's a permanent fixture again. Great. I looked at the clock. I was like, wait a minute, we're 15 minutes away from being done here. The main event's over already. We have one more segment to go. As I said, Dixie Carter was going to step foot into the not the Hammersmith Ballroom, the Manhattan Center Ballroom. Too bad they couldn't be in it at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Maybe it's too small of a venue. Because the Manhattan Center is very intimate as well. I think it's bigger than the Hammerstein Ballroom. Is it? I don't know. I'm not a New Yorker. Anyway, we saw Dixie Carter being, of course, introduced by Rockstar. I like Rockstar's, but his characters, I think his character's getting over. And his sense of style. His crazy sense of style with his loud outfits every week. Loud orange tonight. As he would bring out Dixie along with her cronies, EC3, and now Wino. And she was like, I'm in Bully Ray's hometown. New York City. And it's a disgusting place. And then as Dixie was talking, here comes Bully Ray trying to fulfill that promise once again. Bringing a table with Dixie's name spray painted on it. With Tommy Dreamer alongside her. So then they ran towards the ring, beat up, and tossed EC3 and Rhino off the top rope. Taking care of Spud and leaving Dixie Carter prone yet again. For another attempt to finally get through that table. The table was set up. And then once again, like we've seen every week, the tease continues. I think the TNA waiting game to get Dixie to get through that table is more tedious than the Golf Brooks waiting game. That's another topic for another video. When it's about music and not about sports. Anyway, because this TNA waiting game is so because we've been seeing tease after tease every week to see that Dixie Carter goes through that table. Like we've been saying, is it ever going to happen? But I got a feeling, I got a really good feeling, that by the time that TNA stops taping in New York, I guarantee you, Dixie's going through that table in New York. There's no better place to see Dixie Carter go through that table than in New York City. I guarantee you. I don't care when. But I bet you by the end of the time, by the time that TNA's done airing their tapings in New York City, we're going to see, finally, Dixie Carter go through that table. Tonight not being tonight, but I swear, I thought it'd be done by Slammiversary. It's gone on too long. They need to get a payoff. You know, they've been teasing it for too long. There needs to be a payoff. They need to finally get that bitch through a table. So once again, Dixie Carter avoided the table yet again. EC3 wasn't so lucky, as EC3 thwarted another attempt at the table attempt to get Dixie through it. Like I said, he wasn't so lucky, as we would see Devon come out and double even on EC3 after Tommy Dreamer was laid out. And we would see the weather before, of course, the famous Devon get the tables. They didn't want to put EC3 through the table with Dixie's name on it, so they decided to get a table with his name spray painted on it. And with Dixie Carter's other quoties, Rockstar Spud and Rhino watching helplessly from the crowd as they escaped, avoiding Dixie that table again. And they just stood there helplessly and not helping EC3 as he got 3D'd through a table by T3D. They stood standing tall, looking once again in the crowd at Dixie, Spud, and Rhino, once again teasing that Dixie will get through that table one day. One day, Dixie will get through that table. This waiting game's been tedious, though. You know, the teasing, never-ending teasing. Like, every time we see Bully Ray get even close to getting Dixie through that table, we see an EC3 or a Spud come out and interfere in the block it. But this waiting, like I said, there's gotta be a payoff. You know what I mean? No matter how long it takes, we're gonna see that bitch get through that table. I guarantee it. It's gonna happen during these tapings in New York. I guarantee it. During one of these New York shows, we're gonna see that bitch go through that table once and for all. And they're gonna go nuts in New York, because New York's been very vocal about that bitch and the treatment of TNA and her business strategies. And this is, like I said, the best thing TNA's done in a while. You know, the best impact in a while, and the best thing they've ever done to make the fans choose to bring back the six-sided ring. It's kind of like I've said this a few weeks ago, it's like the last gasp. And these shows are kind of rejuvenating TNA, because like I said, the best impact I've seen in a while, and the crowd's been great, and it's been great. And like I said, if this is any indication, the New York Impacts are going to be awesome. So there you go. We'll see how this goes from here. The six sides back with Impact in New York should be a great combination for the next couple weeks to come. And with that in mind, y'all have been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you later. Yeah.